sticks, and immediately press 2 slices of bread on top. Let it cook some, then flip the whole thing over and fold the extra egg flaps over the bread. Drop cheese and bacon on each piece and let it melt while the bread crisps up. Now, crush a handful of potato chips on top and drizzle on a little hot honey before folding one slice on top of the other and taking a big bite.
Next.
Tilt the pan around while pouring in.
This is an average American breakfast. Exactly.
They cut out a chunk of the bone.
What are we doing?
Before dropping it into liquid nitrogen. You see, if the bone has cancer, freezing it will kill the cancer cells. Then the bone is warmed and dipped into saline. Now, this process hardly damages the bone, so its natural shape is preserved, meaning the cancer-free chunk fits perfectly back into your body before being locked in with plates and screws. Cut out. She fed the goat every day and grew attached to it. But when it was time to auction it...
Okay. Why?
She refused to let it go. Officials auctioned it anyway, planning to slaughter it. So her mother took the goat, driving over 200 miles to hide it on a farm. But the authorities tracked it down. They seized the goat, brought it back to the fair, and had it killed. Her mother later sued, saying their rights had been violated, and the case settled for $300,000.
Okay, Zack Films is just not talking. Okay, Zack Films.
If you sprained your ankle, take a handful of leaves and rub the area with them. You'll notice the pain won't feel as bad. You see, the moment you sprain it, pain signals won't feel...
Look at this dude. Look at this dude.
As bad. You see, the moment you sprain it, pain signals race up your spine. But once they get there, these nerve cells act like a gate. And when the gate stays open, the signals travel up to your brain, forcing you to feel it. But when you rub your ankle like this, it sends a second touch signal through a different set of nerves. And this actually closes the gate to most of the pain signals, meaning you feel the leaves more than the sprain. Cook the noodles slightly, then press them into round molds and let them cool so they hold their shape. Drop the discs onto a hot griddle, frying them until the outside turns golden and crisp, while the inside stays chewy. Then sear a beef patty and brush it with a salty glaze before layering on scallions and greens and sandwich it between the fried ramen buns, giving you a crispy ramen noodle burger. Cook the noodles slightly, then press them into round molds.
No, look at this comment. Noodle burger. Big 06 shorts.
You're a detective, and you find a woman dead on her couch. Now, the house is in perfect shape, meaning...
Traumatizing. Everything. Everything together.
There was no fight or struggle. You notice she was stabbed and that the butcher knife is missing from its place. But it's nowhere to be found, meaning the killer probably took it. You take a look outside and see her footprints leading from the car to the door. But you don't see the killer's footprints. No one could have come or gone without leaving tracks. Then it hits you. You check the weather. It only started. Is why you couldn't find. Pinch the toothpick between your thumb and middle finger. Then, a clamp would hold the pot in place, while hidden hinges inside the stove would turn, swinging the stovetop the other way, canceling out the movement of the boat. This kept the food inside the pot, and when the boat settled, the stove would swing back, letting you cook while being seasick. Clamp would hold the pot in place, while hidden hinges inside the stove would turn, swinging the stovetop the other way, canceling out the movement of the boat. This kept the food inside the pot.
Let you cook while seasick froze up after.
You would take turns removing matches, and whoever takes the last match loses. To win, let your opponent go first, and group each row into 4s, 2s, and 1s in your head. pairing up each group with its match in another row. And after every move your opponent makes, take whatever matches have no pair to restore the balance. Keep doing this until your opponent is forced to take the last match and loses, which is why going second makes you impossible to beat. You would take...
Fortnite is back on.
His foot slipped, and he was 36 stories above the ground. He slammed onto a tiny platform hanging from the crane cables, while his shoes dropped into the dark below. You see, he had climbed the crane for the midnight view, but now he was stranded in the middle of the night. Now, the cables were too thin to grip, and the ground was so far down, the cars looked like ants. So he stayed there for around 7 hours, screaming for help while the streets were empty, until he was finally rescued the next morning. His foot slipped, and he was 36 stories the next morning.
You see this guy? W firefighter.
Crack the egg, squeeze the bottle, and press the opening lightly against the yolk. Next, release your grip. And since the yolk seals the opening, the pressure inside drops. The air outside forces the yolk up into the bottle, while the egg white stays behind. Now, once the egg white is cooked, you can add the yolk back in for a perfectly runny egg. Crack the egg.
How much are these racing simulator coffee?
He fed the owl a vitamin mix and started giving it to more and more. But one by one, they started falling over until 42 of
Zack D films. What?
them dropped dead. Now, the man was confused until he read the label on the vitamins. You see, earlier he had taken a photo of an empty package and sent it to another company to copy the formula, since it would be cheaper than buying it retail. But he didn't realize the label had a typo, listing grams instead of milligrams. So when the company followed the recipe, the new vitamin powder was 1,000 times stronger than the original, which ended up killing the owls. As the replica was built, they saved cost by
the Titanic. You remember this? You remember this? The Titanic is the Titanic.
Leading tiny sections of its length, making the ship shorter. To film it, they dug a pool with a 40-foot well in the middle, and when the ship had to sink, they pulled one section down with cables, while hidden floats stopped it from crashing. Another section was attached to a giant motor, which rotated the whole thing to 90 degrees, forcing extras to fall into the water. And interior scenes were carefully flooded with pumps to shoot one of the most expensive movies ever made. As the replica was built, they saved cost by deleting tiny...
You see this comment right here? Zack D films. Zack ideas never shrink.
Can I use shop?
He waves down a driver, pointing at their wheel, shouting that it's about to fall off. And once they pull over, he gets in and drives it a few feet, while jerking the wheel, making it look like it's wobbling. He tells them to get back in the car and turn the wheel so he can fix it. Then, suddenly, the wobble is gone. He demands payment, and you pay as he moves on to the next car. Foxes moved straight toward the penguins before killing.
Which no, Alvin and the Chipmunks was. Alvin and the Chipmunks, no. The penguins from Madagascar are here. I already know
dozens of them, and they did this every year until there were only 4 penguins left. Now, a local farmer had sheepdogs that guarded his chickens, so he decided to send one over to the penguins to help. And that year, the foxes were too afraid to attack, meaning not a single penguin was killed. Since then, other dogs have been trained, and every year they protect the colony, which has grown back to nearly 200 penguins. Lay your shirt flat and imagine a line across the middle. Then imagine another line down from the shoulder to the bottom edge. Now pinch where the two lines cross with one hand and grip the shoulder with the other. Without letting go, cross the same hand over and grab the bottom edge on the same line. Now uncross your arms and the shirt folds over itself in the air. Lay the loose sleeve down first and set the shirt over the sleeve so it forms a neat rectangle in 2 seconds. Lay your shirt flat and imagine a line across the middle. They would inject cement through a small cut above.
Traumatizing, everything, educational, safe, unhinged, everything.
Your skull and shape it from the outside to make it rounder. Then your scalp would be sewn back together, and when it healed, the top of your head would be taller than before, which could make your face look smaller, so you look younger and a lot more attractive. But a lot of these clinics are done in beauty salons with untrained operators, meaning you could lose hair or even end up with a severe infection. They pulled the fruit from the traveler's bag and set it on fire until it was burned.
Why?
You see, a fly had laid eggs in the fruit, which hatched into maggots and ate it from the inside. And since it was brought into another country, if it had gotten through, those maggots could have crawled out and settled into the soil before emerging as flies. Then they could spread to nearby farms, laying more eggs that rot the crops, ruining food supplies across the country, which is why they're burned right here. They pulled the fruit. Press both of your pinkies together before crossing both of your ring fingers down over them and placing your middle fingers on top to shape the snake's head. Then curve your index fingers forward so they form the front of the face, and position your thumbs underneath so it looks like the lower jaw. Now squeeze everything together to create one wide triangular shape. Then give it a quick forward snap so the jaws open and strike. Press both of your pinky.
Okay, I get it.
Squirt the white glue on the leaf, then add black paper for eyes and a mouth. Leave it to dry until the glue turns clear. Next, peel it off in one piece, and when you press it onto a window, it'll cling to the glass on its own. Squirt the white glue on the... They tacked the stuffing onto the column, connecting each clump to a hidden wire. After that, they built a 1/12 scale house and attached the walls to a sandbag. Then they built a tiny palm tree, tying the top to a wire. They repeated this until they had a mini LA street. Then the clumps on the column were lifted up with wires. And when they blasted the houses with air cannons, the sandbags yanked the walls back as the wires bent the trees, creating the illusion of a nuke destroying Los Angeles. They tacked the stuffing onto the column, connecting each. When you cut off the root of an onion, it releases chemicals that hit your eyes and turn in. The moment you ordered a pizza, a 30-minute timer started. Workers rushed to cook it, so the driver had enough time to deliver it. And if it took more than 30 minutes, the customer got it for free. Now, some drivers drove like madmen just to beat the clock, and over time, crashes started happening. Some pedestrians were killed, and their families sued. Juries agreed the promotion was dangerous, and after millions in settlements and over a dozen deaths, Domino's finally ended the promotion. The moment you ordered a pizza. If you look straight at the sun during an eclipse, the light gets focused onto the back of your eye. But since it's so bright, it sets off a chemical reaction in the cells that pick up. Lift your right heel and shift your weight onto your toes while you turn your body, sliding your left foot out to the side. And as it comes around in a half circle, switch your weight onto your left foot while turning your body again and sliding your right foot in another half circle. If you repeat this while moving side to side, you'll look like you're gliding in perfect circles around the floor. Lift your...
Hello?
She pushed the desks aside and placed a student at the door to watch anyone coming. Then she warned the others to put their phones away. Next, she told 2 students to face each other and gave them 30 seconds to fight. When the fight ended, another pair faced off, throwing punches that left them bleeding. But one student secretly filmed the whole thing and showed it to officials, and the teacher was fired and charged. She pushed the desks aside. When their leader died, they sat up his body and placed him over a fire. Next, they poked his skin with sticks, cutting tiny openings to drain out the fluids. Over the next 3 months, the smoke slowly dried out his tissues, killing any bacteria inside. Then they covered his skin with a special clay, and when they were finished, they placed the mummy in a small hut, where it has lasted for over 200 years in perfect condition. When their leader died, they draw a slanted number 1 before adding a 2, which should touch the top and about 3/4 down the line of the 1. Next, draw a 3 that stretches all the way over both the 1 and the pole was inserted before. As the spoon touches your tongue, metal contacts wandered into the old temple, and the priest took it in, even though they barely had any money. One night, a rich man was traveling past the temple when a storm suddenly appeared. He ran under a tree to hide and noticed the cat a few feet away. It lifted up a paw and waved him over. As soon as the man took a step forward, lightning blasted the ground right where he had been standing. But he was alive, thanks to the cat. Grateful for this, the man donated money to the temple. Over time, the cat became a symbol of good luck, recreated as small statues, now seen in shops all over Japan.
Hey!
He sliced open a branch on a plum tree and pressed a bud into the cut. Now that bud came from a peach tree. And because the 2 trees were related, the bud began to grow as part of the plum. Now he kept doing this, adding branches from almonds, cherries, and other fruits. And since every branch shared the same roots, they all grew together until he had grown 40 different fruits from one single tree. Sliced open a branch on a plum tree. If you walk across the exact same line in your yard every day, your feet slowly crush the grass and compact the soil, causing the strip to turn bare and hard over time. Now, when it rains, water can't soak in as easily, so it starts flowing along the groove instead. Each storm scrapes a little more soil away, causing the groove to grow deeper. And if you walk back and forth for several decades, while the conditions are just right, that small groove could turn into a 6-foot deep trench, perfect for war.
And that's 17 minutes of Zack Films. If you want to see more, click. If you want to see more, click this video right there. Click it.